How's it kicking, my ninjas? This is Eijo here today, and I'm coming at you with sort of an interesting video. Um, at least to me, because I normally typically don't like these kinds of videos because they're like pie in the sky speculation. Seems like sort of people are kind of reaching for a topic when they make these kind of videos. But I told myself if I'm gonna do YouTube seriously, I'm gonna go ahead and have to bite the bullet, and I'm gonna have to eventually start making these. And I'm not gonna make as many as most people do. Like one in every single format. I feel like some are more obvious than the others. And if you haven't like read from the title or if you don't, please guys start reading the descriptions of my videos because in the description I leave kind of like this generic message out to people. And I'm gonna start posting my deck lists in descriptions when I make deck list videos. So descriptions are reading is fundamental, but this is gonna be a ban list prediction video or a just kind of like not a prediction necessarily because I don't like to predict the ban list. I think that that's ridiculous, and I think that that inflates the secondary market unwillingly. This is going to be kind of like a post nationals, what I'm preparing for or the format I'm kind of like sort of thinking about when I think about what needs to happen to the game, or just from sort of like a pure metagame like point of view, this is my sort of speculation that I'm sort of thinking about, and this also influences the cards that I personally pick up. So I'm going to share that with you today. I don't have infinite time because it's very late and I got to go to work in the morning, but I'm going to try to make this video as elaborate as possible within like a small time frame. So let's just dive right into it and get to the meat and potatoes. And I know you guys are probably sick of seeing this setup, but I like it, so I keep using it. Now, let's kick things off talking about like a lore. I'm not going to talk about every single solitary card in like this really in-depth sort of discussion. I think that that's boring. I'm just going to kind of fly through this stuff and just kind of just give my own little like point of view on it. So Allure, I don't think that this card's going to get like re-limited back to one or anything like that. I just think that it's not just as insane and as powerful as it used to be back in the day. And I mean, we got like Pot of Cupidity coming out, or I think it's called Pot of Desires or something like that. But I heard Mega Capital G say that earlier on a video. Spoilers, I don't really read cards. But I don't think Allure is just so stupidly broken that it's got to be limited again. Time will tell, but I think that if, and guys, from my own point of view, metagame nuke inbound. They're about to hit us with that Japan shit and reset the game as we know it. So be ready for that. And I mean, for all of you Monarch players and all of you BA players and all of you Cosmo players, you knew this was coming. So don't be salty about your deck getting smashed to bits. I mean, card prices are cheap right now, so pick up all the shit that you want slowly but surely. Bye. This is the time. So back to this Allure of Darkness. This card is, I don't really think it's going to move at all. I think it's definitely going to get more expensive because the metagame nuke is inbound. So Moab coming. Klee. This I'm just using as a Klee as a whole. I think Scout's going to get banned, personally. That card it's not broken, but I think that they're not necessarily done with that archetype because they're not done with that whole dual terminal shit, but they're done with what the archetype's doing. And you really can't ban Scout, but you can. And I think that if the deck keeps getting unhealthy, maybe not this format, but after they like pump some money out of Invasion of Venom, that card's definitely most likely getting banned. So you Klee players, enjoy that shit while you can, or maybe like Soul Transition or something. Because I just overall just envelopedly like consider that card a Klee card. E-Teleport. This shit's going to one. This shit's going to one. If it doesn't go to one, I will be stunned. Or if it goes back up to three, I'll be completely stunned. This card's broken. It's never facilitated anything healthy for the game, and it's such a simply made card, but this just does some shit to the metagame that doesn't need to happen. So I think this is the best angle of attack they're going to take at Cosmo because they're still supporting the archetype altogether. We still haven't seen like a Darth Sidious or there's still some more shit, or like a General Grievous even. So I'm just kind of just pulling Star Wars characters out of my ass, by the way, but I think that this card's either getting just straight up banned or going to one, but be on the lookout for E-Teleport. Not like if you got some altered copies, like you should probably like move that shit. But otherwise, I mean, I would keep them personally because I like swag, but that's just me. Then this is going back into the whole Cosmo thing. I think this shit's going to two. I don't think they're going to immediately send it to one because yet again they're still supporting the archetype. But if they nuke the metagame, this deck becomes tier one. This deck is at a very weird position because it'll never like ruin the metagame, unless everything else is at or under its power level. Because nothing can really be at Cosmo's power level unless it's more powerful, right? Like it's just the best at what it does as far as OTK goes. It's like one of the best like creature combat OTK decks we've ever seen in the history of the game, and this card is ridiculous. So I think that it's time now. It's been out. It's survived a couple of formats, but this shit's got to go to one. Upstart. I think this can come back to three. Honestly, I don't think that it just does such an unhealthy thing to the metagame that it just warrants being at one. We know it takes them forever to move on cards, so I don't think they're gonna do anything about it. Monarch Stormforth. This shit's going to banned or one. I think that this card has to go bye bye altogether. I love this card. I love this deck, but this shit's got to go, man. Brilliant Fusion. This card's interesting. So this card creates splash damage to Gem Knights, and they're still supporting Gem Knights somewhat. I mean, we've seen that they're making, like, they're still supporting these older archetypes, and this card makes that deck possible, period. Like, the deck is completely impossible. It's way too slow. You give up way too many resources. This makes an insta, like, Lady Brilliant Diamond, and which goes into, flips into the Master Diamond and all that shit. But anyway, like, this makes the whole archetype possible. And I don't think that they will touch it, but I mean, I don't think that they should touch it, but I think that they will. I think that they're going to send this card to like one. Um, it's just like the best turn one play that any deck, any combo based deck could ever ask for. So, Foolish Burial's banned. I mean, if Foolish Burial's into one, man, you bet your ass like a double Foolish Burial is going to one. Even though it's more narrow, it's just so much more powerful. Pantheism, bye, straight up banned. In Japan, it's limited to one, but you know. I think this card has to be banned. I think it's just way too many. It's just way too powerful. It's a pot of greed, and I mean, it's just better than pot of greed. Honestly, it's just like Destiny Draw with fucking duality stapled onto it with no restraints. Man, this card's stupid. I don't think they're gonna touch like Erebus. I think if anyone gets limited, it's gonna be Aether. Aether is just the most powerful in a vacuum. Um, as far as like the pure Monarch like pieces go. So, and the reason I'm separating these like this is because, you know, that's my deck and I'm going to put these right back. But yeah, like, so this is like the Monarch stuff I want to talk about. Not really too much. I think this card has to go to one. That Beatrice Turbo shit is some shit. And even without Dante, it definitely without Dante sees a hell of a lot less play. But this is quite possibly the best rank 6 they've ever made. So, no, screw that shit, man. This is just the best rank 6 they've ever made. Yeah, I'll go on the record saying that Lavalval Chain can go burn in hell compared to this card. The only reason the Lavalval Chain is better is because it literally is a rank 4, and that's what makes it better. But all in a vacuum, yeah, this card makes an entire deck possible, and if the format gets nuked, there ain't shit stopping this card from just like that deck from just being a deck. So, yeah. Yet again, like I don't think that they're gonna like hit like any of the monsters in Cosmo other than Tin Can or this piece of shit. This card has to go to straight up one. Two makes no sense to me. I think that the deck is still strong as hell, and if the format gets nuked, this deck is still just as powerful. Can still TK your ass out of nowhere, but it just makes it more. It makes you not have to just like grit your teeth and bear it every time you play Cosmo. It allows you some wiggle room if they only have one Doctor Shorter, because they can't just like loop your ass into infinity and beyond. Moving on. The like Draco engine as a whole. I don't have like a luster. Yeah, I know it's golden. I don't feel like pulling Master Pendulum out of that binder, but I think that maybe Luster Pendulum can come back to 2, but only if you ban Draco Face Off. Now, that makes no sense. Like in a vacuum, more people would rather have one Luster and a Draco Face Off, but I think Luster with one Ignister and with like hell 3 Lusters, I think that that's like just straight up better than like the sackiness that Draco Face Off and like just the consistency and power that Draco Face Off adds to the deck itself. So I mean, I don't know. You guys be the judge of that, but I this is just my own like point of view on this. I think that it's time for Morale Tech to come back to 3. But I think that if they metagame nuke it, this is also a very dangerous card because if we don't have like some of these crazy power creep decks like that made these cards irrelevant. I don't think you can actually make this card irrelevant. I'll be honest with you. This card is just insane regardless. It's always like a +1. So like, and especially with like Sanctum and shit, man, get out of here. Like that's really strong. So I don't know. This is a very dangerous card to put back to more than one, but I think that if there was ever a time, now's the time for you to just metagame nuke and reset everything. I think that creates a new deck in the metagame that also allows you to like play with your like battered versions of Cosmo and all that stuff. So Time will tell. Yet again, I love to say that. This does not mean these cards specifically. This goes just to this whole damn deck. I think that this deck is healthy now. But I think if you metagame nuke, that this deck becomes insane. So I think you have to like preemptively touch some of this shit, like Wisdom Eye, and like I think that this card is actually the most insane one. Honestly, this card makes some plays possible and makes some things possible in that deck that's not, this just isn't realistic. So I think that this is probably the card that's got to go because this, actually, this is kind of sort of a proxy for Kieran as well. Man, fuck that card. That card's got to go to like one or two or something. And you would think that a card like that, it's not actually like overly busted, but yet again, if the metagame gets nuked, it's already like a Rumbler in the jungle than this metagame. And that's something to be said for that. But if the metagame gets nuked, or when it gets nuked rather, that deck goes from like 1.5 in the tier rankings straight up to tier 1 slash like point like tier point 5. Like it's barreling damn near that whole tier 0 status. So you got to really be careful with that and like preemptively hit some shit and like hurt the consistency, cut it at the legs. If you metagame nuke, I think this card has to be banned. I think this card was way too insane. That whole synchro fusion shit, you got to just cut that shit at the legs, man. I think Cyframe Lord Omega, time for him to go to 1, man. We've had some fun. The set sold and all that stuff. Get rid of that shit, man. That shit's got to go to 1. That card it creates some board states and some game states and all kind of shit, all kind of states that shouldn't be stated. Yep, straight up to 0. I don't think that this card. I think this card's a joke. Like it's just far too powerful. It has to go to 1 slash 0. I just flat out say 0, man. This card's much too big of a problem, much too big of a threat. One of my like oddball cards. We're getting into my oddball pile now, and I gotta hurry up. I think this card has to go to 1 or 0 actually, because most people just play 1. Here's why: it kind of hurts the archetypes that they're making in the future. Another oddball card is, and these are both stand-ins for each other. I think that these cards can go back to 1 now. This also hurts Cosmo because if you're attacking the deck at the legs, you're doing just fine. As long as you start banning a whole bunch of like random shit and you're not attacking it at the legs. I think you have to attack it at the legs, and this is what makes that shit possible. Because even if you give them 1 tin cam and just resolving the effect twice just still is broken. I think if ever this card could come back up to more than 1, now's the time. It just isn't that ridiculous anymore, and it just kind of puts the pendulum deck in check. Also Compulse. I think I would like for this to go back to more than 1, but it just can't if BA is just a thing. I would like for this card to be banned. It's just the most powerful trap in the game. There's just no reason for that card to still be around when you have notice. Like, force people to play with the worst version of it and, like, get this shit up out of here. This card's too strong. I think this card can come back to more than 1. I just don't see it destroying the metagame or anything like that. And this is not what I mean. I don't mean scolding in specific. I actually mean notice. I think notice is going to go to 2. I just think that if there was a time, now's the time for the card to go to less than 3, because I eventually see that card going down further and further and further, and like how many you can actually play of it, and I just don't see a reason why it's not already at like 2. It's the new warning. It's the new like bullshit card that like everybody is just gonna have to run, and if they nuke the metagame, it just becomes tens of thousands of times more powerful. Yeah, I think it's time for that card to go ahead and sit at its rightful positioning in the metagame at 2, and sit at its rightful time at being at 2. And I think it's just fine at 2. So I don't think it's going to hurt anything, and it forces people to play less like cheese cards and actually allows players to play the game. And Ariadne still searches it, so yeah. But let me know you guys' thoughts in the description. Is there any cards that I missed? Is there any cards that you would add to your list? Let me know that kind of stuff. I love discussions. And if you think I'm wrong, say, hey, look, bitch, you're wrong, and I'm right, and here's why. Love that type of shit. So keep the comments going, keep the comments flowing, keep it kicking, my ninjas. This is Eijo signing out. Peace.